Your mind was a never-ending storm inside that desolate, snow-buried wooden house of the 1700s. You were the only one who could hear the whispers mingling with the howling wind leaking through the drafty windows. You thought the shadows manifesting before your eyes, the way your body seized control during those violent episodes, were simply a sickness. But your family did not think so. They did not see illness, they saw a curse. Today, you and I will sit at that dinner table where the candlelight flickered ominously. We will watch how the compassion in the eyes of the mother who birthed you twisted into sheer, icy terror. We will witness the moment your father's hand reached not for your shoulder in comfort, but for a coarse rope in fear. We are going back to that betrayal, to the moment where you desperately screamed, "I am here, help me!" And they answered, "We must rip the devil out of you," sacrificing you to their superstition. The year is 1794. The winter in the colonies is unforgiving, a season that seems to judge the living. The snow piles high against the rough-hewn timber walls of your family's farmhouse, burying the world in a white, suffocating silence. But for you, there is no silence. There hasn't been silence for months. You are sitting at the long oak table, your hands resting on the rough wood. The smell of stewed venison fills the room, a scent meant to be hearty and comforting. But to your twisted, oversensitive senses, it smells metallic, sharp, violently rich, like old copper coins held in a sweaty palm or fresh blood spilled on snow. Your mother is ladling soup into wooden bowls. Her hands are shaking slightly. You notice it. You notice everything lately. Since the shadows began to creep into your vision last autumn, your senses have become excruciatingly sharp. The sound of your brother chewing his hard bread sounds like bones snapping under a heavy boot. Crack, crunch, crack. The crackle of the fire in the hearth isn't just burning wood. It sounds like someone whispering your name over and over again in a language made of ash. "Look at them," the voice in your head hisses. It is a dry, scratchy voice, originating from just behind your left ear, vibrating against your skull. They know what you are. They are waiting for you to break so they can throw you to the wolves. "I am fine," you whisper to yourself, clutching the edge of the table until your knuckles turn white, trying to anchor yourself to reality. "Did you say something?" your father asks. His voice is stern, heavy with the weary authority of a man who fears the unknown more than he fears God. He is looking at you. Suddenly, they are all looking at you. Your younger sister, your mother, your father. Their eyes are wide, alert. They are not looking at you like a family looks at a son or a brother. They are looking at you like deer watching a wolf that has wandered into the clearing. "No, father," you reply, forcing your voice to remain steady. But as you look at his face, the flickering candlelight plays a cruel trick on your fragile mind. For a split second, his face melts. His eyes stretch vertically, oozing black ink. His mouth widens into a silent, impossible scream. His skin turns the color of gray ash and decay. It is a demonic visage, a monster wearing your father's skin. You gasp, a sharp intake of breath that sounds like a shriek, and you drop your spoon. It clatters loudly on the floorboards, shattering the tense quiet of the room. The illusion vanishes instantly, but the damage is done. Your mother drops the ladle into the pot, splashing hot broth. She doesn't gasp in surprise, she gasps in pure horror. She presses her back against the wall, putting distance between you and herself, her hand covering her mouth. It slipped," you stammer. Sweat beads on your forehead, cold and clammy, contrasting with the heat of the fire. The room is suddenly sweltering hot. The walls feel like they are closing in, pulsing like the walls of a living heart. "His eyes," your sister whispers, trembling, pointing a shaking finger at you. "Look at his eyes, Mama. They rolled back. They went all white." "Quiet," your father snaps at her, but he doesn't look away from you. He stands up slowly, pushing his chair back with a screech. He doesn't come to help you pick up the spoon. He doesn't ask if you are dizzy. He reaches for a heavy iron poker from the fireplace, holding it defensively. Not to hit you, but to keep it away. To keep the devil away. The tension in the room, the fear radiating from them, snaps something fragile inside your brain. The whispers turn into a roar, 1,000 voices screaming in a chorus of agony. A flash of white light, brighter than the sun, blinds you from the inside out. Then the seizure hits. It is not a gentle fainting. It is a violent, hostile theft of your body. Your muscles lock rigid, arching your back so hard you feel your spine might snap under the pressure. You crash to the floor, overturning the heavy wooden bench. You want to speak, to tell them, "It's still me, I'm just sick," but your jaw locks. Only a guttural, animalistic sound tears from your throat, a sound that doesn't belong to a human. Your vision goes tunnel dark. You are thrashing on the floor, your limbs flailing uncontrollably, knocking over the iron pot stand. You are aware of the chaos, the screams of your sister, the crying of your mother, but you are a passenger in your own flesh. You are trapped behind your own eyes, watching the destruction. You feel saliva foaming at your mouth, choking you. You are biting your tongue. The taste of your own warm, metallic blood fills your mouth, confirming the smell from earlier. Through the haze of pain and flashing lights, you see them. Your mother is huddled in the corner, shielding your sister, sobbing hysterically. "It's taken him! The devil has taken him again!" she wails. And your father is standing over you. He is a towering silhouette against the firelight. He does not hold a pillow to cushion your head. He does not hold a cloth to wipe your mouth. He is shouting orders to your brother, his face twisted in a mixture of hatred and fear. "The rope! Get the rope from the barn, now!" He is not seeing his child writhing in pain on the floorboards. He sees a vessel, a contaminated, hollow shell filled with Satan himself. The seizure begins to fade, leaving your body limp and exhausted, as if every bone has been pulverized into dust. You lie there, panting, drool and blood running down your chin onto the rough floor. The world stops spinning. You look up at your father, your eyes pleading, tears leaking from the corners. "Father," you croak, your voice broken and raw. "It's me. Please, help me up." He steps back. He recoils as if you are a venomous snake coiling to strike. There is no recognition in his eyes anymore. The man who taught you to fish, who carried you on his shoulders when you were small, is gone. In his place is a stranger fueled by primal, superstitious terror. "Don't touch me," he whispers, his voice trembling with repulsion. "Whatever you are, devil, don't you touch me." Your brother bursts in from the barn, breathless, holding a coil of thick, rough hemp rope. The smell of the barn animals clings to it. "Tie him up," your father commands, his voice becoming hard as stone. "Tie his hands and feet before the beast wakes up again." "Father, no," you whisper, tears mixing with the blood on your face. You try to crawl away, dragging your numb legs, but your limbs are too weak to support you. "That is not my child," he says to your brother, turning his back on you, refusing to look at your tears. "My child is gone. We must call the cleansers from the village. They will know how to beat this devil out of him." As your brother approaches you with the rough rope, fear, cold, sharp, and rational, pierces your heart. It is not the fear of the seizure. It is the realization that the people you loved most in this world have just declared war on your existence. To them, you are no longer human. You are a problem, a demon, and they are about to use violence to solve it. They did not carry you down the stairs like a sick relative who needed rest. They dragged you like a sack of spoiled grain that needed to be discarded. Your heels bumped violently against the rough, splintered wooden steps, each thud sending a shockwave through your aching spine. You tried to grab the railing, desperate to hold on to a piece of the world you knew, but your brother's heavy boots stomped on your hand. It wasn't a stomp of anger, it was the stomp of panic. He was afraid that your touch would infect him, that the devil inside you was contagious like the plague. They threw you into the darkness. You landed hard on the packed dirt floor. The smell hit you first, a nauseating mixture of wet earth, rotting potatoes, and old, stagnant air. It was the smell of things forgotten, the smell of a grave before the coffin is lowered. "Please," you screamed, crawling on your hands and knees towards the rectangle of pale light at the top of the stairs. "Don't leave me here. I'm afraid of the dark. Father, please." Your father stood at the threshold, his broad silhouette blocking the lantern light from the hallway. He didn't hold a holy book or a cross. He held a heavy iron padlock. His face was unreadable in the shadow, stripped of all paternal warmth. "It is for the safety of this house," he muttered, his voice hollow. "Until the cleansers come, we cannot let it roam free." Then the heavy cellar door slammed shut. The sound was final, absolute, like the lid of a coffin snapping into place. Then came the sound that would haunt your nightmares forever, the iron bolt sliding into the hasp. Click, clunk. You were alone. The darkness was not empty, it was heavy. It pressed against your eyes, suffocating and thick. You waved your hand in front of your face, but you couldn't see it. You were blind, buried alive under the very floorboards where you had learned to walk. At first, you fought. You screamed until your throat tasted of copper. You banged your fists against the wooden ceiling until your knuckles split and bled. You shouted their names. You begged. You promised to be better, to stop shaking, to stop seeing the shadows. But the only answer was the creaking of the floorboards above. Life continued upstairs. That was the true torture. You could hear the muffled thud of footsteps, your mother walking from the hearth to the table, the scrape of a chair being pulled out, the faint murmur of a conversation you couldn't understand. They were eating dinner. They were warm. They were together. And you were down here, lying on the cold, damp dirt, curled into a tight ball to preserve your body heat, shivering as the dampness seeped into your bones. Time began to dissolve. Was it day? Was it night? In the eternal blackness of the cellar, minutes stretched into hours, and hours into days. Deprived of sight, your other senses began to hallucinate. The drip, drip, drip of water from a leaky pipe somewhere in the dark sounded like a drum beating inside your skull. The scratching of rats in the earthen walls sounded like people whispering secrets about you. Scritch, scratch, scritch, scratch. And then the sickness in your mind found its playground. Without the distraction of light, the visions became vivid, projecting themselves onto the canvas of the dark. In the corners of the cellar, you began to see shapes forming, glowing, geometric patterns that pulsed. Tall, faceless figures standing by the potato bins, watching you. "They abandoned you," the voice in your head whispered. It was louder now, clearer. It wasn't just a whisper anymore. It sounded like someone standing right next to you. "They are eating warm stew while you freeze in the filth. They don't love you. They fear you." "Shut up," You hissed into the dark, covering your ears with your dirty hands. But you cannot block a voice that comes from inside your own brain. "They think you are a monster," the voice continued, chuckling, a dry, rattling sound. "Maybe you are. Look at you, dirty, crawling in the mud, eating scraps. Monsters live in the dark. You are finally home." You tried to sleep, but sleep was a dangerous landscape. When you dozed off, exhausted by the cold, you dreamed of fire. You dreamed of the villagers standing in a circle, looking at you with that same mix of pity and hatred, holding torches to burn the sickness out. You woke up screaming, your heart hammering against your ribs, only to realize the torch was just a thin sliver of daylight coming from a crack in the floorboards above. Days passed, or maybe weeks. You lost count. The trapdoor would open briefly, blinding you with a sudden shaft of light that felt like a knife in your eyes. A wooden bowl of cold porridge and a cup of water would be lowered down on a rope, like an offering to a dungeon beast. No one spoke. No one asked how you were. They just fed the body to keep it alive while they slowly killed the person inside. You stopped banging on the ceiling. You stopped begging. The cold of the earth had become a part of you. You sat in the corner, wrapping your arms around your knees, rocking, rocking, rocking. You began to listen to the house. You learned to distinguish the footsteps, the heavy, slow steps of your father, burdened by the weight of what he had done, the quick, skittish steps of your mother, the hesitant steps of your sister, who sometimes paused right above where you sat, as if she wanted to knock, to say hello, but was too afraid of the devil beneath her feet. One night, the silence was different. It wasn't the silence of sleep. It was a tense, waiting silence. The air in the cellar felt charged with static. You heard the front door open upstairs. A gust of wind howled into the house. Then the heavy slam of the door. Heavy boots on the floorboards. Not your father's boots. Multiple pairs. Strangers. Men. You heard low voices, serious, gruff tones, the sound of furniture being moved, and then the sound of the cellar bolt sliding back. Clunk, click. Light flooded down the stairs, stinging your sensitive eyes, making tears stream down your face. You shielded your face with your arm, cowering in the corner like a wounded animal. Through your fingers, you saw silhouettes descending the stairs. They were big men. They wore thick leather aprons over their coats. They carried strange tools, coils of rope, buckets of ice-cold water, and bundles of dried herbs that smelled pungent and sharp. They didn't look like men of God. They looked like butchers. They hadn't come to release you. They had come to fix you. And looking at the grim determination on their faces, you realized that their cure would be far more painful than the disease. You pressed yourself into the dirt, trembling as the first man reached out a callous hand to grab you. The transition from the corner of the cellar to the center of the room happens in a blur of violence. Rough hands, smelling of tobacco and dried blood, grab your arms. You try to kick, to bite, to scream, but you are weak from hunger and days of immobility. You are a rag doll in the hands of giants. They haul you up and slam you down onto a heavy wooden chair they have brought with them. It is an old chair, stained dark with things you don't want to identify. Before you can catch your breath, the ropes are winding around your wrists and ankles, binding you so tight that your circulation cuts off immediately. "Father!" you scream, your head whipping around, looking for him on the stairs. He is there. He is standing halfway down, his face pale, clutching the banister until his knuckles are white. He is not looking at you. He is looking at the floor. "Father, tell them to stop! I'm your child!" "Proceed," your father whispers, his voice trembling. He doesn't look up. "Do what is necessary." The leader of the men, a burly figure with a scar running through his eyebrow, steps in front of you. He doesn't look like a healer. He looks like an executioner. He grabs your chin with a vice-like grip, forcing you to look into his cold, dead eyes. "We are not here to hurt you, boy," he says, his voice devoid of any emotion. "We are here to hurt the thing inside you. And the only way to make it leave is to make this house," he taps your chest with a thick finger, "too painful for it to live in." He nods to the others. The first bucket of water hits you like a physical blow. It is not just cold, it is freezing, likely drawn from the icy creek outside. The shock makes your entire body spasm against the ropes. You gasp for air, inhaling water, choking. Your lungs burn. "It resists," one of the men mutters. "Hold him steady." The leader commands. They place a metal bucket over your head. The world goes dark again, echoing and metallic. Then they start beating the bucket with iron rods. Clang, clang, clang. The sound is unbearable. It amplifies inside the metal chamber, exploding in your ears like gunshots. You scream, but your voice is trapped with you. The vibration rattles your teeth, turning your brain into mush. They are trying to disorient the devil, to confuse it, but they are shattering your mind. They pull the bucket off. You are dizzy, retching, your ears ringing with a high-pitched whine that won't stop. "Is it gone?" your father asks from the shadows. "It's stubborn," the leader says, rolling up his sleeves. "We need to burn it out." They bring a brazier closer, a metal pan filled with hot coals. They throw bundles of dried herbs onto it, sage, sulfur, and things that smell like burning hair. Thick, acrid smoke billows up, filling the cellar. They tilt your head back and fan the smoke directly into your face. You cough violently, your eyes streaming tears. The sulfur stings your throat, closing up your airways. You can't breathe. You are suffocating. You thrash against the ropes, the hemp cutting into your skin, blood trickling down your wrists. And then, the stress triggers it. The sickness. The flashing lights return to your vision. The faces of the men distort into grotesque masks, their jaws unhinging, their eyes turning into black pits. The smoke transforms into writhing snakes in the air. "Let them kill us!" the voice in your head screams, terrified. "Let us die!" Your body seizes. You begin to convulse in the chair, foaming at the mouth, your eyes rolling back into your head. To you, it is agony. To them, it is confirmation. "Look!" the leader shouts, pointing at your twisting body. "There it is! The beast is manifesting! It's fighting back!" They don't see a seizure. They see the devil trying to hold on to its vessel. The leader picks up a thick leather strap. "Hold him down! We have to break its hold!" The strap comes down. Crack! It hits your shoulder. The pain is white-hot, slicing through the numbness of the cold. You scream, a sound that shreds your throat. Crack! It hits your chest. Crack! It hits your legs. They are beating you. They are beating a helpless, bound, sick human being, believing they are fighting a spiritual war. Each blow forces the air out of your lungs. You look at your father through the haze of pain. He has turned his back. He has his hands over his ears. He cannot watch, but he will not stop it. I am not a monster, you gasp between blows, sobbing, snot and blood mixing on your face. Lies, the leader roars, striking you again. The devil is the father of lies. Leave this boy, leave him. The torture continues for what feels like hours. Water, smoke, impact, pain, repeat. Eventually, your body gives up. The seizure stops, not because you are cured, but because your nervous system shuts down. You go limp in the ropes, your head lolling forward. You are drifting in a gray void, hovering between consciousness and oblivion. The leader grabs your hair and pulls your head back. He checks her eyes. He slaps your cheek. It's dormant, he announces, panting heavily, sweat dripping from his forehead. We weakened it, but it's not gone. Will he survive? Your father asks, his voice trembling. The leader wipes the leather strap on his apron. He looks at you with a mix of disgust and professional indifference. Tonight, maybe, but the root is deep. We will have to come back tomorrow and the next day until the vessel is clean or until it breaks. They leave you there. They don't untie you. They don't treat your wounds. They simply walk up the stairs, taking the light with them. Your father casts one last look at you, a look of utter hopelessness, before he follows them. The door slams. Click, clunk. You are alone again in the dark. But this time, it is different. You are broken. Your body is a map of bruises and burns. The cold is no longer just outside. It is inside your chest. You hang in the ropes, listening to the drip of your own blood hitting the dirt floor. Drip, drip. And in that silence, a new thought forms. Not a whisper from the sickness, but a clear, cold thought from your own soul. They are going to kill me. This isn't a cure. This is a slow execution. If you stay here, if you let them come back tomorrow, you will die in this chair. The only cure they have to offer is death. You lift your head slowly, ignoring the screaming pain in your neck. You look at your bound hands. The ropes are wet with water and blood. Wet ropes stretch. You are not the devil. You are not a monster. You are a survivor. And for the first time in your life, the anger inside you is stronger than the fear. The silence that follows the slamming of the door is heavier than the screaming that preceded it. You are left alone in the absolute dark, suspended in the aftermath of violence. The only sound is the wet, ragged rhythm of your own breathing and the phantom echo of the iron rods striking the bucket. Clang, clang. It still rings in your ears. A tinnitus that sounds like distant church bells announcing a funeral. Your funeral. You are slumped in the chair, your body a landscape of throbbing pain. The burns from the smoke sting your eyes. The welts from the leather strap burn across your chest and legs like lines of fire. But amidst the symphony of pain, there is a cold, hard note of clarity. They are going to kill me. It is not a paranoid whisper from the sickness. It is a logical deduction. Your father's eyes. That was the final verdict. There was no love left there, only a terrified resolve. Tomorrow, they will come back. Tomorrow, they will use fire, or drowning, or stones. They will not stop until the devil is dead. And since you and the devil share the same skin, you will die with it. You look down at your hands in the gloom. The ropes are thick, rough hemp. But they made a mistake born of their arrogance. They soaked you with water, and then they whipped you until you bled. The ropes are sodden with the mixture of creek water and your own blood. Move, you command your hands. The pain is excruciating. As you twist your wrists, the wet hemp acts like sandpaper, stripping the skin away. You feel the raw flesh tearing, the warm trickle of fresh blood running down your fingers. But you do not stop. You cannot stop. Pull, the voice in your head whispers. It doesn't sound like a demon anymore. It sounds like a coach. Pain is information. Use it. You dislocate your thumb. You feel the pop of the joint, a sickening sensation that makes bile rise in your throat. You scream into the gag of silence, tears streaming down your face, but you push through the agony. With your thumb collapsed, your hand becomes narrow enough. You pull, you twist, you tear, and then your right hand slides free. It hangs there, useless and throbbing, covered in blood and slime. But it is free. You stare at it in the darkness, flexing the trembling fingers. It looks like a claw, the hand of a monster. Good, you think. If I am a monster, then I will survive like one. You undo the other ropes. Your movements are clumsy, feverish. When the last knot comes loose, you fall forward off the chair, hitting the dirt floor with a thud. Your legs are numb, refusing to hold your weight. You drag yourself through the mud, crawling, not towards the stairs. The door is bolted from the other side, and you are too weak to break it, but towards the far wall. The root cellar has an external loading hatch, a set of slanted wooden doors leading directly out to the garden. It is barred from the inside with a simple wooden plank. You drag your broken body across the cellar floor. The rats skitter away from you. They sense the change. You are no longer prey. You reach the hatch. You pull yourself up, your fingers digging into the rotting wood. You find the plank. It is heavy, swollen with dampness. You push against it. It groans but doesn't move. Please, you whisper, your voice cracking, just this once. You channel every ounce of anger, every memory of betrayal into your arms. You remember your mother's horrified face, your father's back turned to you, the whip coming down. You shove with a primal roar. The plank slides, splintering, and falls to the dirt with a heavy, dull thud. You push the doors upward. A crack of night sky appears. Cold, crisp air rushes in, smelling of snow and pine trees, the sweetest perfume you have ever known. It washes away the stench of sulfur and sweat. You climb out. The winter night is blindingly bright, illuminated by a full moon reflecting off the snowdrifts. You are half naked, wearing only your tattered, soaked underclothes. The cold hits you like a physical wall, freezing the blood on your skin instantly. But you don't feel the shivering. The adrenaline is a furnace inside your chest. You stand up in the snow, your bare feet sinking into the icy powder. You look back at the house. It looks peaceful. Warm yellow light glows from the kitchen window. Smoke curls lazily from the chimney. Inside, your family is likely sitting by the fire, reading scripture, praying for your soul, or perhaps sleeping the sleep of the righteous, believing they have done God's work. They are warm. You are freezing. They are good. You are evil. A surge of hatred rises in your throat, hot and bitter. You want to pick up a rock and smash that window. You want to set fire to the thatched roof and let them feel the heat they tried to use on you. Do it, the voice hisses. Burn the nest. You take a step towards the house, your hand closing around a jagged stone. But then you stop. You see your shadow stretching out across the snow. It is long, distorted, monstrous. If you go back, you die. Even if you kill them, you die. The village will hang you, and you will prove them right. You will prove that you were the devil all along. You drop the stone. It disappears into the snow without a sound. No, you whisper to the house, to the sleeping traitors inside. I will not give you that satisfaction. You turn your back on the warmth. You turn your back on the only life you have ever known. You limp towards the barn. You need to survive the night. Inside, the animals stir as you enter, the smell of hay and manure wrapping around you. You don't go to the horses, they would make noise. You go to the back, where the old heavy wool horse blankets are kept. You grab a thick, scratchy blanket and wrap it around your shivering body like a cloak. You find a pair of old work boots left by the door, too big, but better than bare skin. You shove your bloody feet into them. You find a small hand axe resting on a chopping block. You take that too, not for wood, for protection. You slip out the back door of the barn, facing the dark, dense forest that borders the farm. The trees stand like black skeletons against the moonlight. The villagers say the woods are haunted. They say witches and spirits live there. Good, you think, then I will be in good company. You take the first step into the tree line. The snow is deeper here, untouched. You are leaving no trail that the wind won't cover in an hour. Behind you, the farmhouse is just a small point of light in the vast darkness. You watch it disappear behind a thicket of pines. With that light goes your name, your history, and your humanity. The boy who sat at that table is dead. He died in that chair in the cellar. What walks into the forest now is something else. Something harder, something broken, yes, but sharp. You are an exile, a fugitive, a lunatic. But as you inhale the freezing air, filling your lungs without the taste of smoke or water, you realize one more thing. You are free. The forest swallows you whole. The ancient pines, heavy with snow, stand like silent sentinels guarding the border between the world of men and the world of the wild. You move through the drifts, your breath pluming in the icy air like dragon smoke. Your stolen boots are too big, slipping on your heels, but the pain in your feet is distant, a dull throb that reminds you you are still alive. You do not run blindly. The sickness in your mind, that chaotic storm of whispers and shadows, has strangely quieted. Or perhaps it hasn't quieted, but harmonized. The whispers no longer sound like screaming demons. They sound like the wind moving through the branches. The shadows you see in the corner of your eye are no longer monsters. They are foxes and owls watching you pass. Left, the voice suggests, not a command, but an instinct. You turn left, deeper into the thicket, away from the wagon trails, towards the place the villagers fear most, the old burn. A cluster of ruined shacks where a recluse lived and died decades ago. The elders say the ground is cursed. They say nothing grows there. Perfect. You walk until your legs tremble, until the adrenaline of the escape begins to fade, replaced by a bone-deep exhaustion. And then you see it. The ruin stands in a small clearing, bathed in the silver light of the moon. It is a skeleton of a cabin, its roof half collapsed, its logs charred black from a long-forgotten fire. It looks like a jagged wound in the white snow. To anyone else, it would look like a nightmare. To you, it looks like a castle. You limp towards it. There is no door, just a gaping maw of darkness. You step inside. The air here is still, sheltered from the biting wind. It smells of ancient ash and pine needles. You drop the axe in the blanket. You need fire. Not the fire of the torture chamber, not the fire that burns flesh, but the fire that sustains life. Your hands are raw, bleeding and stiff with cold, but they work with a dexterity you didn't know you possessed. You gather dry moss from the sheltered corners. You find loose, dry wood from the collapsed roof. You strike the flint you stole from the barn against the axe blade. Spark, spark, flame. A tiny orange tongue of life flickers in the darkness. You feed it, breathing on it gently. It grows. It casts long, dancing shadows on the blackened walls. You stare at the shadows. They don't scare you. You raise your hand, and the shadow mimics you. You are the master of the shadows now. You wrap the horse blanket tight around your shoulders and sit close to the fire. The heat begins to thaw your frozen skin, bringing a prickling, stinging sensation. You look at your wrists. The rope burns are deep, red rings, bracelets of flesh that you will wear forever. They are not marks of shame. They are marks of liberation. The night deepens. The forest comes alive around you. You hear the hoot of an owl, the snap of a twig under a heavy paw, the distant howl of a wolf pack. In the farmhouse, at this very moment, your father is probably bolting the doors, terrified of the dark. Your mother is crying into her apron, praying for protection against the evil she thinks she birthed. They are trapped in their fear. They are prisoners of their own small, narrow minds. But you are sitting in the heart of the haunted woods, warming your hands by a fire you built, listening to the wolves. A seizure threatens to come. You feel the familiar electrical hum in the base of your skull. The lights begin to flash in your peripheral vision. In the past, you would have fought it. You would have curled up and begged God to make it stop. Now, you let it come. You lean back against the charred log. You let your eyes roll back. You let the muscles spasm. You ride the wave of the sickness. Without the fear, without the ropes, without the judgment, it is not torture. It is a trance. It is a violent, chaotic communion with the energy of the world. When it passes, you are left panting, lying on the dirt floor, staring up through the hole in the roof at the stars. They look like diamonds scattered on black velvet. They are indifferent to your suffering, and that indifference is beautiful. You realize that you will never go back. You will never sit at a table and pretend to be normal. You will never lower your eyes to appease a frightened man. You will learn to hunt. You will learn to build. You will become the ghost story they tell their children. Don't go into the woods, they will say. The lost one lives there, the shadow walker. Let them speak. Let them fear. Their fear will be your fence, keeping them away from your sanctuary. You sit up and look into the fire one last time before sleep takes you. You touch the scar on your lip where you bit yourself. You taste the iron. I am not the devil, you whisper to the flames, your voice raspy but steady. I am the forest. You close your eyes. For the first time in your life, you do not dream of cages. You dream of teeth and moonlight and the endless, silent snow.